So one day, the police are searching for this lady who happens to be the daughter of a governor. She went to visit her boyfriend, and then after she left his house, she went missing. The lady goes by the name Khadijat, and she happens to be a final year student of Adekunle Ajasin University. Now Khadijat, like most university students, was in a relationship with a guy called Alao, and allegedly the two of them have been dating for like 6 years. But their relationship was not that smooth. They've had issues in the past that even made them break up, but in the end they would reconcile and come back together. And everything was going well for this young couple until one day. On that day, which happens to be a Thursday, Khadijat finished classes in school, and because she had no classes again until next week Monday, she decided to use that opportunity and travel to Alao's place so she could drop off her project work with him, and it would help her make some corrections to what she has already written there, because apparently Alao is a graduate and he has more experiences with project works. So Khadijat arrived at Alao's place on that Thursday. She slept there obviously, and after dropping the project work with him, she left the next day, which happens to be a Friday, to return back to school. However, when it reached the next week Monday morning, Khadijat didn't show up in class. Her friends got worried because she was not the type of person to miss classes just like that, especially as a final year student. So they began calling her number, but it wasn't reachable. After trying repeatedly with no progress, they immediately contacted Khadijat's dad, who happens to be an ex-deputy governor, and told him the situation on ground. Meanwhile, Khadijat's dad has also been suspecting something has happened to Khadijat because he sent her money for her upkeep, and normally after receiving this money, Khadijat would call him and thank him. However, on that Friday, he sent money to her, but he received no call. So when Khadijat's friend called him to tell him that Khadijat isn't in school or anywhere they know of, it was here and now he confirmed that his daughter is missing. So at this point, the police were already involved and were trying everything they could to find Khadijat. Khadijat's friends, on the other hand, were also calling to reach her. Her parents were also calling to reach her. Everyone was calling and worried. And eventually, on that same Monday, they finally got a text message from Khadijat. She texted her parents that the mouthpiece of her phone isn't good, and that's why she hasn't answered any call, that she would call them as soon as she put her SIM card into another phone. Khadijat then texted her friends that have been calling her that she's already on her way back and everyone should, take a chill pill. So at this point, both Khadijat's parents and her friends had gotten replies from Khadijat, and they were calm. However, more days passed and Khadijat was still not back. Around this time, Alao's dad even had to call Khadijat's dad and tell him that Khadijat indeed came to their house on Thursday. However, she left on Friday morning. So the search for Khadijat intensified, and the case was now suspected to be a kidnapping case. Soon after, the kidnappers contacted the police and told them that they should negotiate. So this was how it was confirmed that Khadijat had been kidnapped. At this point, Hamidat's parents were praying heavily so that their daughter would come back to them safely. Her friends were also praying. Even Alao's father was praying for the safe return of his future daughter-in-law. And that's when something crazy happened. Let me take you guys back. So after Khadijat left Alao's place on that Friday morning to return back to school, it turns out that she mistakenly took the project work which she was supposed to drop off at Alao's house for corrections. So she had to return back to Alao's house that same Friday to drop it. When she returned, Alao's father and his siblings weren't aware. So when Khadijat returned back again to drop off the project work, she had no idea that Alao, her boyfriend, had been looking for an opportunity to buy her and use her for rituals. So when she came back, he saw a perfect opportunity to carry out his evil plans, and right there he killed Khadijat by stabbing her repeatedly with a knife. Then he dug a hole in his room, buried her body there, covered the hole with sand, and then he put his bed on top of this hole. So all this while they were searching for Khadijat, she was already dead. The text messages her parents and friends received from Khadijat were fake and was sent by Alao using Khadijat's phone. As for the kidnapper who sent message telling them to negotiate, well, there were no kidnappers. The message was also sent by Alao. So around the time when everyone was praying and hoping for Khadijat's safe return, the corpse of Khadijat, which Alao buried in his room, was already decaying and smelling. It was smelling so bad that he couldn't sleep in his room anymore. So eventually he dug out the body, packed it in a sack, and then confessed to his immediate sister about what he had done. He then told her to help him dispose of the body, but the sister immediately rushed to their father and narrated what she had just found out. And then Alao's father reported the incident to the police, and before anyone could say Obnepa, the police arrived there, and this was how Alao was arrested and was charged to court. While in court, Alao lied that he wasn't the one who killed Khadijat, that it was two men who followed her when she returned back to his house house the second time that day. But the judge called the story a lie, because if it was indeed two men that were responsible, he would have reported the incident to the police the moment they left. But instead, he waited for 6 days, and it was not as if after 6 days he reported to the police. He was caught red-handed. At the end of the court case, Alao was sentenced to death by hanging for the murder of Khadijat. I'm Caleb, and I've uncovered this case.